We're back with another Pick'em video. It is Thursday, February 5th in the NBA. We have an 8-game slate, and I got some plays that I'm liking today. It's also trade deadline day, so we've already had a bunch of trades. There's a bunch of teams that are switching things up, and we could get even more trades. This is usually the busiest day of the trade season, and I don't know if it will be just because we've had already so many big trades. But yeah, excited about that. Things can change on a dime, so we are going to jump into the plays for today. But first, recap of yesterday's video picks. And I got to figure out a different way to display this because we were bad yesterday. We weren't as bad as it looks, down 1.51 units. That's now a little skid we're on, which I hate coming on here, and especially just like having to film when you're losing and having to break. It's essentially like breaking bad news. But let's talk about them. A lot of hooks, guys. Like if you're just seeing the results, and I would understand like, what the heck, 3 days in a row, what's going on? But a lot of these are just so close. Cam Spencer, 12 potential assists. He ends with 5, scored a lot. So obviously didn't get to his ladder. That was, a big unit play, 1.25 units on that one guy. GG came through for us. RJ Barrett had 2 points in the second half. He had like 12 in the first half. I thought we were cruising to an easy victory, but if I could take one play back, I would take that one back, I believe. Sam Merrill and Donovan Mitchell, 3.5 3-pointers each, all plus money. They both ended with 3, and they won the game by like 30 points. Sam Merrill didn't even see the floor in the fourth quarter. Donovan Mitchell played like 3 minutes in the fourth quarter, so fortunate there. And then Neemias Queta had the best game of his entire life, pretty much, and he still stayed under for us. So 2 1-unit plays cashed. Pretty much everything else was a 0.5-unit play. So we only go down 1.5 units. I hate losing. I hate losing as much as you guys, but it's not the end of the world. We're only down 3 units in February. We just came off January where we went up 17.2 units. These are days are going to happen. These streaks are going to happen even. But I'll get better. I'll the reads aren't horrible. If I'm getting out here and people are missing by 1 million, that's when I know I need to take a reset. But people are missing very close in a lot of these. So let's get back on track, and that starts with Props Madness. So jumping into Props Madness like we always do, first play is going to be Lauri Markkanen for the Utah Jazz, over 24.5 points, minus 108 on FanDuel right now. And the Jazz, they have a ton of injuries right now. So let's go over to RotoWire, kind of check it out. They just made a big trade. It was a 4 players for 4 players. Jaren Jackson Jr., the best player, getting traded to the Jazz. But he's already been ruled out, and a couple other guys, Vince Williams, already been ruled out. Conchar already been ruled out. A lot of these guys, none of these guys are really making their debuts. So we can go see projected minutes. Again, they're projecting for 9 guys to play minutes here. Lonzo Ball, another guy they got, he's doubtful in this one. So the guys that have been traded aren't going to be there yet. So we saw the Jazz play these guys a million. Isaiah Collier literally got 48 minutes last game. His lines have shot up, and I'm honestly tempted to go to him. But Lauri Markkanen is just super consistent, projected for 34 minutes in this one. It is a 9-point spread, but I love his matchup here because the Hawks, they have great guard depth. They got great backcourt defense. They got Dyson Daniels. They got NAW, Nikhil Alexander-Walker. But you go to their front court, and it's Jalen Johnson, who's a big guy. He's kind of a lengthy guy. They don't have Porzingis anymore. They just traded him to the Warriors. And Onyeka Okongwu is questionable. He can defend the rim a little bit, but Lauri Markkanen is a stretch. He's going to shoot some threes. They got Nurkic's big body to deal with down low. So I think this is a great spot for Lauri Markkanen. And again, the guards are what really help this team. This Atlanta defense, it's a front court that's a little bit weaker if you could point to a weak spot in their defense. So I like Lauri Markkanen here. Within 10 feet, 23rd ranked, catch and shoot 14th, but he can kind of create his own shot in a lot of different ways. You can see he's one of those guys that's like, he doesn't have a 20% or 30% or 40% usage use in terms of his player type analysis. He can get to the free throw line, transition off screens, spot up, cut, pick and roll, big man, whatever it is. He's got a whole bunch of different ways. He's got a whole bunch of tricks in his bag to score the points. So I think this is a great matchup for him anyway. And he already scored 40 points on these guys back in November in a 36-minute game, and they lost that game by 10. And it's a 10-point spread today as well. So I like the spot. Hopefully it's not a massive blowout, but 24.5, a dude that's very consistent, already over this in 70% of games. And with all the trade stuff and people not making their debuts, Keontae George, the other huge scorer for this team, is not playing. And he's played 3 games without him, and he's gone over twice. It's not like he crushed this line in either of the games. Didn't shoot particularly well in this one, specifically 33%. But the shot volume's there, 19 shots, 23 shots, and then 15 shots in a day. He just wasn't shooting very well. So I don't mind that. Averaging around 20 field goals attempted. If we're going to get 20 field goals attempted from Lauri Markkanen and however much time he's on the floor, I can find it right here. Field goals attempted. I mean, he's shot 30 before in the games. It's like 19 plus field goals attempted. That's huge. Even if he gets the 15, that was like the low part, 75% hit rate. So I think Lauri should be totally involved. Collier is great distributor as well, so he can find him some open looks. And again, in terms of defensive schemes, the Hawks have great guard defense. their center defense and their power forward defense isn't as amazing. And if you want one more data point for Lauri Markkanen, here's that defense 2 position that the Hawks have for the entire year. They're ranked 27th to that forward spot, kind of like I've been mentioning a few times. In these favorable matchups where they defend guards well, not as much forwards, he's over this in 7 of 8 games. So Lauri, get the shots up, just got to knock him down. And I think he can do it against the Hawks once again. Again, 40 bomb against this team earlier in the year. Moving to play number 2, another team and another guy that's really changed things up at the deadline. The Chicago Bulls have traded a bunch of guys, and their front court depth is Jaylen Smith, and pretty much that's it. So let's take a look at the Chicago Bulls. He's projected to start now. If you don't know, Vucevic is now a Boston Celtic. They do have Anthony Simons, but he's doubtful. A lot of these guys maybe don't make their debuts. But even so, they have a million guards now. They've traded Kobe White. They've traded Ayo Dosunmu. A lot of guards coming in from those trades. Colin Sexton, Rob Dillingham. So these are the projected minutes for these guys. Again, another team that has 9 guys on the depth chart. And just looking at these guys, Jaylen Smith, absolutely the best. Mac McClung might get minutes tonight. You might want to watch the Bulls. He might be a dunk show going on. But Jaylen Smith is the center on this team. He's pretty much their only center on this team that has any sort of experience. So I expect him to get the minutes, except they're expected for 31 minutes in this one. So I like Jaylen Smith's potential. You can see they've been relying on him a little bit more. Doesn't always get the time, but now that Vucevic is officially gone, I expect him to go out there and play a whole bunch. Again, projected for 31 minutes in this one. This will be a minutes play. I can actually probably click expected. They say 18 to 28 on Props Madness. I'm thinking more like Jaylen Smith should get pretty much all of the center rotation minutes, as much as he can handle. I would say like 25 plus minutes. And in that case, he's over in 72.7% of games. They're playing the Raptors. The Raptors are coming off a back-to-back they played yesterday. So really, really liking the spot for Jaylen Smith. Again, spot-up situation. He can get some shots to knock down, pick and roll big man. He might be in that action a little bit more as he's becoming the starting center of this team pretty much. Free throws, there's some good spots for him to score some points. And again, Raptors on a second half of back-to-back. Might see some guys sit, or their legs might be a little bit not underneath them as usual, which I always point to on a team that's on a back-to-back. So defense might not be as good as it usually is. It's a 8th ranked defense overall. Has he played these guys before? Not this season, but it wouldn't really matter anyway unless he got the time on the court. So this is really just a minutes play, kind of like Lauri Markkanen, but Lauri Markkanen just so consistent. But both these teams, again, just a ton of trades, ton of injury news, and might just be a boost in minutes, kind of like how I attacked the Memphis Grizzlies the other day or yesterday. So liking this spot. Again, I'll show it one more time. It's even 20 plus minutes, over in 58% of the last 20 games, 25 plus minutes, 72%, and he's projected for 31 minutes on RotoWire. If we can get 27 plus minutes, 75% hit rate. So the hit rate looks great. He's not a guy that's going to blow your socks off, but in a situation like this where he's getting the keys to that center spot, maybe he plays a little bit more aggressively, and maybe he gets into more actions. Like they might be like, yo, Jaylen Smith, you're our center for the next 6 months or whatever, 4 months. You got to get some shots up. So Jaylen Smith, 12.5 points, -110. Going to play number 3, I like VJ Edgecombe to get some rebounds today. His line's at 4.5, but it's plus 105, which is why I really like it. Already over without any filters in 60% of games. And the biggest news here is there's no Paul George in this one. And the other thing I'd point to is there's no Jared McCain on this team anymore either. So McCain hadn't been playing much anyway, but without Jared McCain, without Paul George, if I can see it, he's over in 7% or 70% of games, averaging about 5.5 rebounds. So that's just a good data point to look at. They did just make a trade. They chose VJ Edgecombe over Jared McCain essentially, but that's the obvious choice. But it's just someone that could take some minutes from VJ and won't be for sure now. So Paul George, no Jared McCain. We'd like to see that hit rate. But even just out Paul George, 65% of games he's going over this. So now you got to look at the matchup here. Well, it's a bad matchup. Positionally, they rank 3rd. Rebounds allowed, they rank 3rd. Offensive defense rebounds is a team that does not allow a whole bunch of rebounds. And positionally, again, only 40% of the last 15 positional players have gone over against this team. But VJ is kind of more of a combo guard, and a lot of these guys kind of are. But at the same time, I think those numbers kind of go out the window a little bit when you look at these combo guards. If it was a center, I would look at the positional matchup. If it was a point guard, I look at the positional matchup. Or if it's like a stretch 4, I like to look at the positional matchup. Or if it's just a spot up shooter, that's the time the things I'll look at the positional matchup a little bit. But for a combo guard like VJ Edgecombe, who can score in a plethora of different ways and is athletic, I don't really consider this a huge data point. And if you do consider it a huge data point, in these challenging matchups without Paul George, he's over in 66.7% of games, averaging 5.4 rebounds. So I like the numbers here. He's got a very low or high floor, which I like to see. I mentioned that a lot. And he goes over more times than not. And it's a plus 105 price tag. So very much a value play here. It's not like a home run play that I'm like, this is definitely hitting. But for the price tag at plus 105, I'll definitely go for this play. So it's not the worst situation in the world. Head to head, he did have 5 rebounds against these guys earlier. That's all we need. He had 11 rebound chances. We don't need him to get 10 rebounds. We just need 5. And he could, I'm expecting 5, 6, maybe 7 boards. I'm not expecting anything more than that. But the numbers are kind of, supporting that idea. Embiid is also a question mark here if he plays or not. Again, it doesn't really matter. Without Paul George, with Embiid, 58% of games. Without Paul George, without Embiid, 58% of games, and a lot of these games coming recently, averaging around 5.2 boards. With Embiid, if he does play, over an 80% of games. So either one doesn't really matter too much to me. It's a rebounding matchup for a combo guard, so it is a tough rebounding matchup, but for anyone, I think it would be VJ Edgecombe to gobble up a couple extra ones for a team that doesn't allow a whole bunch of rebounds, really to anyone. So I like this spot. I love the value, plus 105, and I'm riding with it. Another guy I like here is going to be Dylan Harper, who has just played really, really well recently. Now, he did just miss last game, and this is a back-to-back set for the Spurs, which he would not be in a back-to-back set if he plays. But he is questionable right now, so I don't want to spend too much time. But I like the uptick in minutes he's gotten recently. Again, with the back-to-back, someone potentially could sit here. Castle, played yesterday. He came off an injury right before that, so maybe he's someone that could sit. But in a back-to-back set, anyone could potentially sit. And even if they don't, Dylan Harper has been great in these last few games. The line I'm looking at is points and assists line at 12.5. I saw this for, I guess it's minus 120 now. I saw it at minus 110, which is a good sign. It's trending in the right direction. But again, he might not play in this thing. But if he does, in back-to-back sets, we can actually see in back-to-back sets, he's over in 4 of 8 games. But again, the minutes have been there, 28, 23. This was, that one dud game. I've looked at Dylan Harper recently, and this is that one dud game that stands out. But then you get 20 minutes, 23, 18 is another kind of one that I'm like, okay, but that was earlier on in the year, 22 and 27. So recently, he's been getting around the 23-plus minute mark in a lot of these games. And again, back-to-back sets is not really any different. And in a back-to-back set that he didn't play, so like he's not on a back-to-back, he could potentially see an even bigger boost in minutes. So I like the minutes potential here. He's projected for 20 right now on RotoWire, and again, might not even play it, which is why I keep mentioning it. But 18-plus minutes, he's now over this in 65% of games. And we can drop this down to, let's say 25 minutes. Let's say 20 to 25 minutes. He's over in 70% of games. And then you take a look at the matchup here. He can get to the rim in this team. 70% of players going over against their line. A lot of these, guys that I would expect to go over, Reed Shepherd, Colin Sexton, Moody did get there. But these guys aren't having particularly great games in that amount of time. But I think this is a spot that I think Dylan Harper could get the more time on the court. And if he's going to see 20 to 28 minutes or something, the hit rate's going to jump up exponentially. So I like Dylan Harper. He's more of a lean. He'll probably be a 0.5 unit play in the recap just because, again, I don't know if he's going to play. But I do like his potential for potentially getting more minutes here. And he's got a good spot to get to the rack, which he likes to do. And he can dime up a little bit against this team too. Dallas Mavericks, not the best team right now in the world just because they're dealing with a ton of injuries. They've traded a bunch of guys now. No AD now anymore. He's a wizard. And I'm liking Dylan Harper, 12.5 points and assists. So that'll do it for me in this one. We did talk about 4 plays. I was honestly going to give 2, maybe 3 plays out just because the trade deadline, you don't know what's going to happen. But we're attacking all overs, and it's all guys that I wouldn't expect to get traded. And if someone gets traded on their team, it'd probably just be a boost for them. But yeah, Lauri Markkanen on the Jazz, a ton of players are out for this team, and he's very, very consistent. I think he's got a pretty dang good matchup to score the points today. Jaylen Smith over his 12.5 points. This is absolutely a minutes play. He's pretty much the lone center on this team and should gobble up a bunch of time for that reason. Now, he's got not a guy that's typically going to explode over 12.5 points, but consistently getting there at a minus 110 price tag. VJ Edgecombe over his 4.5 boards. I just love the price tag here, plus 105. Those are all 1-unit plays. And then I'm throwing 0.75 units on Dylan Harper. He, first of all, might not even play in this game. And I think it's one that's harder to read just because are the Spurs going to play everyone? Are the Spurs going to make some sort of trade? They're on a back-to-back. It can get weird. And, Dylan Harper is coming off a 1-game absence. So does that hurt his minutes potential even though he's not on a back-to-back? I wouldn't expect it, but 12.5 just seems too low in his matchup against the Mavericks. So that will do it for me. Let's run through the actual, like all the games real quick, talk about the injury news, any sort of trade news that you might not know as well. And I'll get you guys out of here. So if you got to this point in the video, give us some good luck, some good juju, like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're new, comment something down below. Just bring some good vibes. I know we're on a little bit of a skid, but I own my losses. And we were coming off a really, really good streak before this. Pretty much all of January was awesome. So it was bound to happen to come back down to earth at some point. And we've been good with our unit management. These 0.5 unit plays seem to be the ones that are missing, whereas our 1 unit plays are hitting even better. Even in February so far, we just attacked a lot of 0.5 unit plays that haven't gone our way and a lot of plus money plays as well. So today I'm feeling really good. Trade deadline, one of my favorite times of the year. We could see a lot of movement again, but at the same time, the past few days have been crazy. There's been so many trades that have happening. So to get you guys up to date on that too, let's go through the games and kind of just run through projected minutes as of right now and players on the new teams and things like that. And real quick, before we do that, shout out to Pickett. If you guys want a bet tracker that's completely free for you to use code RichPicks when you sign up. You get $300 or $100 when you sync your first sports book. Now I'm trying something new, trying to get out of YouTube, purgatory essentially, getting, the lowest views I've seen in a long time. Very frustrating, but I'm not going to put any links in my descriptions just to kind of see if that changes anything. So you can download Pickett on the App Store. And when you sign up, just remember to use code RichPicks to get that $300 or $100 when you sync your first sports book. And that's all you got to do. DraftKings, PrizePicks, Underdog, FanDuel, whatever you're on, whatever, they've got pretty much every sports book out there. You can sync it and it will tell you if you're winning or losing your plays over the course of a month, year, all time, yesterday, a week, whatever you want to know. But you want to know if you're winning or losing your plays, and Pickett, absolutely free and the best place to do it. So let's start running through these games, see what's happening. First off, the teams on our back-to-back, the Houston Rockets, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Toronto Raptors. Those are the three teams on a back-to-back today. Let's go over to RotoWire and talk about the first game, Washington and Detroit. Washington did just make a big trade. Anthony Davis is now a Washington Wizard, but he's continued to be out with the injury. And Trae Young is still a Washington Wizard now, and they're both out. So they kind of leaned into the youth movement with some of their younger guys, and they want to pair those up with some older veteran guys that can teach them and hopefully play well together. Wizards kind of interesting moves around the deadline, but we'll see what happens essentially mostly next year. But here's what we got for the projected minutes right now. Keyshawn George, Alex Sarr project for a decent amount of time. And again, we know that the starters play a lot of minutes in games that they stay in, but this is a 14.5 point spread, so just keep that in mind too. And we got some potential injuries for Cade Cunningham and Tobias Harris. If Cade doesn't play, the spread probably drops a decent amount, and then maybe you can attack some Wizards. They also made a trade. The Detroit Pistons did. They traded Jaden Ivey, who's not around anymore, so we could get some boost in minutes from some of these other guys on the bench. And Kevin Huerter is the guy they brought in. We'll see if he ends up playing. Right now, questionable. And if he did play, they're expecting him for around 18 minutes or so. Then we got the Brooklyn Nets and the Orlando Magic. Neither of these teams on a back-to-back, but you'd think the Brooklyn Nets would make some moves here. I don't think they've made any moves yet, if I'm remembering correctly. But Michael Porter Jr. should get as much time and as many shots as he wants against this team. It's another one that's a big spread, 10.5 point spread. So I showed the projected minutes for that team. Orlando, we still not got no Franz Wagner. Anthony Black is a guy I continue to want to look at. His volume's much higher without a guy like Franz in the lineup. And the Magic have been pretty dang bad. So, the Brooklyn Nets could potentially stay in this thing. I guess I should mention Cam Thomas is out for the Nets as well. So the on-off court stats of some of these guys out. You got a guy like Tyrese Martin getting a huge boost in his usage rate without these guys on the floor. And a guy like Noah Clowney would be another guy that I'd want to look at. But yeah, let's move along to the Utah Jazz and the Atlanta Hawks. This is one game that we already have a play in. Lauri Markkanen hopefully scoring some points. Again, Yusuf Nurkic, big body down low, probably going to be dealing with Onyeka Okongwu the whole time. So Lauri Markkanen's going to get the Jalen Johnson assignment. And Jalen Johnson, a great, two-way player, I'd say. He's a bigger guard, or not a bigger guard, bigger forward here, but kind of a combo guy as well. Lauri Markkanen likes to shoot the three. He's got a great matchup to do so. If they have any weak spots, again, they got some good young guards that are defending the Jazz guards. Lauri Markkanen should have the best spot here. But a ton of injuries we kind of already talked about. They made the big trade. Jaren Jackson Jr. is not going to play. And some of their other guys that they've traded for, Alonzo Ball, not going to play either. And then Keontae George also out for this team. Then the Atlanta Hawks side of things, they made a trade too. No Porzingis, I remember to say. He's now a Warrior, so he's not going to be down there defending a guy like Lauri Markkanen either. And Porzingis hadn't really been playing anyway. But CJ McCollum off the bench should get a ton of time. Jalen Johnson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Onyeka, if he does play, Dyson Daniels, all those guys are going to get as much time in the court as they can handle. And Jonathan Kuminga is now Atlanta Hawk, finally relieved from the Warriors side of things. And he probably will not play either. As of right now, he's expected to be out. And he was dealing with an injury, if that even was an injury. Chicago and Toronto, this is a 8.5-point spread. So again, look at the spreads here with the trade deadline. Not the best day to go heavy. 8.5. That was a 9.5-point spread right there. And the Chicago Bulls obviously dealing with a ton of news and injuries and trades mostly. But we got guys like, who did I go to in this team? Oh, yeah, I went to Jaylen Smith. He's projected for a lot of minutes. He's pretty much their only big guy out there. Might see some minutes from Mac McClung. That would be interesting. But guys like Anthony Simons, Colin Sexton, their new acquirees, not going to be in this game. And then Giddey's out of this one too. So a guy like Trey Jones, if he does play, he's also questionable here, could get extended run and could get some dimes in here. Toronto side of things, we got Chris Paul. I forgot he got traded to the Raptors. I don't think he's going to play for the Raptors, but funny to see him there. Jakob Poeltl's still out. They also got Trace Jackson Davis from the Warriors. He probably won't make his debut. So this is what we got for projected minutes for them. Coming off a back-to-back, though, so just a reminder, someone could pop up in the injury report at any time. Something I was looking at is RJ Barrett to knock down some threes. He screwed us yesterday, so I didn't make an official play, but he was definitely someone I was looking at. Sandro Mamukelashvili, another interesting piece that could get some extra run in a game like this. Then we got Houston, Charlotte, 3.5-point spread. Houston is on a back-to-back. They just got blown out by the Celtics last night, though. And Charlotte's been playing out of their minds, now 23-28 in the season. This is what they got going on. They did just get Kobe White. He's doubtful to play today, but he's an interesting piece for their team. But we know they run their guys. They've found Diabate as their starting center, as I mentioned, all the time. And he's been out playing Cockbrenner and Grant Williams back in this lineup now too. But it's going to be mostly the starters to get the most minutes. Difficult matchup here against Houston, but I think you could find some good spots if you want to watch this game. And then on the Houston side of things, as of right now, Dorian Finney-Smith questionable. KD was dealing with an injury, so if he came up in the injury report, that would be something to look at. And then Steven Adams, remember, out for I think the year on this team. Reed Shepard going to be getting the most points off the bench. He was disappointing yesterday. A guy like Tari Eason has been playing pretty dang well. Jabari Smith Jr., they like to run their starters a whole lot too, but just remember, back-to-back set. San Antonio and Dallas, we talked about Dylan Harper, who's a question mark. I think he could be a great spot to look, especially if someone else pops up on the injury report. But as of right now, the Spurs essentially fully healthy on a back-to-back, which is good to see. They did beat the Thunder yesterday. Thunder pretty much sat their entire team, and Shea's now out for a few weeks. Cooper Flagg and the Dallas Mavericks. Cooper Flagg has absolutely been given the keys to this team. He's been scoring extremely well. He's been rebounding. He can get the assists. He's shown that he is that number one pick that everyone thought he was. Now that he has full control of this team, pretty much at the point guard position. But they're dealing with a ton of injuries, and also guys they just traded for with the AD trade. So just keep that in mind. Some of these guys potentially getting some extra minutes. So this is the projected minutes for them. You can pause and look there if you'd like to. Philadelphia and Lakers, we got VJ Edgecombe's rebounds in this game. But Embiid, question mark, Paul George out because of the suspension for the anti-drug thing that he essentially accidentally used. I don't really know the full story, but he's out for 25 games. We'll see if Embiid plays. But here's the projected minutes for them. Those top four guys going to get as much time as they can handle, like we've seen. And then Quentin Grimes can play himself into more minutes if he's out shooting a guy like Kelly Oubre or something, or a guy like Trenton Watford. And that's what we like there. Luka and the Lakers. They just traded for Luke Kennard, like just now as I was doing the video. So he won't play. So a guy like Gabe Vincent, not in town anymore. Luka is going to get as much time as he can handle as well. LeBron's getting around 33 minutes in this game. DeAndre Ayton was someone I was looking at in terms of his under rebounds. He's just been underperforming recently, especially in the rebounds department. Luka's kind of stepped up his rebounding game. So just someone I was considering. This is, again, a 4-point spread in favor of the home team. So it could be a fun one to watch. And again, we already got some stuff on VJ Edgecombe. Then finally, we got the Golden State Warriors and the Phoenix Suns. Grayson Allen and Dylan Brooks have been their two main guys, and Colin Gillespie just had a huge game. So just keep that in mind. Dylan Brooks could have a little bit extra oomph behind him just because him and a guy like Draymond Green do not really like each other. Again, weird to see Porzingis here. He will not make his debut tonight. And Steph Curry's still out for this Golden State Warriors team. So top two guys on both teams are out. But we've seen Devin Booker out for a while now. And again, Dylan Brooks getting as much time and as much volume as he can handle. Same with Grayson Allen. And then Colin Gillespie's kind of running the show, diming up and everything like that. But the Suns are favorites by 6 points. The Draymond Green-led Warriors here is going to be right here. He's projected for the most minutes along with Brandon Bajemski. I still expect Brandon Bajemski to have one of these big rebounding games at some point, but we'll see what happens. Al Horford's rebound line, I think, was at 7.5 or something, and I was looking at the under for that. Just seems like a lot of rebounds for a guy like Al Horford, but he might have to run a little bit more than he typically does. Pat Spencer could also get a decent amount of run here. We bet on his brother yesterday. Maybe he's someone you want to look to off the bench. And then Will Richard, his points line is usually pretty low. If he can go in there and knock down some shots, he can get his points line pretty easily. I think it's like 5.5. So he was also someone I was looking at. But yeah, that's what we got for the games. 8 of them. Plenty of injury news. We could get even more with the next 3 hours of the trade deadline happening. And you can't really beat that. I love trades. It's just fun to dive into the difference between the teams. I think the NBA is the most interesting in terms of the trade deadline. There's a lot of shakeup and things like that. But again, I don't expect too much more to happen just because the last 2 days have been crazy. And it's going to change things for betting and minutes and purposes like that. But you just try to get ahead of that injury news and attack teams that are locked into their spots, like a guy like Lauri Markkanen and a guy like Jaylen Smith that are going to get a boost in minutes here. So that'll do it for me in this one. Thank you guys for watching. Like always, sorry for the little bit of a skid, but we'll get back on track like I know we have in the past. And like the video, comment something down below, subscribe if you already knew all those good things, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.